Hey everyone, and welcome back to A Spiritual Journey. This week it's going to be a bit shorter, and I'm talking about peaks and troughs. This week I went into a deep meditative state early on in the week, and then the rest of the week, quite frankly, I didn't sit much and it was pretty dry. And I'm going to walk you through my process when stuff like that happens. So I hope you enjoy. So this week I want to talk about an experience that I had around something that has been called the Great Perfection. So essentially, as we've talked about, Spirit is in everything. God is in everything. There is a perfection at the core of reality. And just that little intellectual tidbit is profound. Is this really deep understanding that the base of all things is perfect, is that perfection, is that spirit. So how to tap into that? And just that knowing, that knowledge, going into meditation can be enough to open that gate, enough to recognize that it is here right now. Like we talked about last week, that perfection is everywhere. So within that, one of the meditations that I did this week was essentially just sitting and being in a place of recognizing that that perfection is everywhere. To relax, stay focused and relax, and to understand that most things that we do in life are to try to fix things, or to try to, even in meditation, to try to change something. Maybe I'm feeling a little stressed or disconnected, so what do? I try to reconnect or try to lower my stress levels, trying to change what is. And that's great, and those work for what they work for. But in this meditation, it's much more about just allowing what is to be. Just allowing what is to be, and not trying to change anything, but focusing on that beauty. Focusing on that in this moment, no matter what I do, that great perfection is there. So if I have in the past done something that it's hard for me to forgive myself, or someone's done something to me, it's hard for me to forgive them. That's okay. That has nothing to do with the great perfection. The great perfection is here and now, no matter what. And so this week, I had a very, very deep experience with this meditation. And essentially it's just what happened is, as I relaxed my physical body, because often tensions in our body can beget tensions in our energy, in that astral body, all the way up. And so as we release and relax away that tension in our physical body, it can clear up emotional blockages just by doing that. So as I relaxed my body, and especially my gut, I hold a lot of my tension in my gut and my hips. I was able to start to expand and experience that perfection, that isness, and just allowed what is to be, to tune into. If I experience negative emotions, allow those to be. If I experience positive emotions, allow that to be. And I just sat for 30, 40, 50 minutes, allowing what is to be. And as a result, I began to merge with what is the present moment, and experience that perfection, that signature, that hand of God, that spirit that is within all things. And in that expanded state, it started in my stomach, and it started to float outwards as if there was an invisible cloud of my energy, of my spirit, just expanding into all things and merging with all things, because that perfection is in all things. And when I am able to let go of those tensions that identity with what I like and dislike, those tensions in the bodies and the mind, I began to merge just with my surroundings, with this bed, with these walls. It was really a beautiful and profound experience. And within that, I'm at a loss for words with this, because words don't convey and portray these deeper states. And I can try to paint a picture, which I'm trying to right now. But it like I said in the episode 2 Cosmic Overview, philosophy, it forever falls short. A way of thinking about it is, right now, through vibration, I am sharing something. So my words are just vibrations. When I say bed, it doesn't beget the bed. It's not the bed itself. It's just a vibration that's coming out of my mouth. So I always think of that when I think about talking. So within that, it's, can I connect to that great perfection, allow that to expand my state, and literally expand beyond my physical identity, my physical sense of self. Because if we think about it, this body changes. I believe it's every 7 years we have a completely new set of cells. And it doesn't look the same as it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So that changes. My thoughts change, my emotions change, all this is changing. That one thing that doesn't change is that consciousness. And so that consciousness, because I'm identified with small s, self, Harry, it stays within this place. But as I'm able to let go of that, to release that, to just sit back in the isness and allow that perfection to pervade inside of me and then expand me outwards, my identity literally starts to shift from small self to larger self, from physical body to my surroundings, to those astral vibrations and higher. And this is just another form of identity. Our identity shifts. And the reason why in my own spiritual practice for so long I struggled to see that was because it was me that was doing. It was me, Harry, that was trying to expand. And we have to relax beyond that. We have to recognize that Harry is just likes and dislikes, is just a name given to a physical body, mind and emotions. And I'm more than that. I'm the consciousness beyond that. And when I can sit back, often called the witness, and identify with ideally nothing, just be experiencing what is, it can, just that alone, just sitting in the experiencer, can begin to expand our awareness. And that happened to me earlier on this week, just with this one meditation. And it was profound. It begins, the more that I have those, the more that I'd say that the more smoothly I can flow into them. Growing, I guess over the last 10 years, those things either came with a kind of a snap. I go into this expanded state, which is known as Satori, the sudden enlightenment experience. Or it was through just a deep, intense effort of meditating for 90 minutes or 4 hours, something like that. But the more that we go there, the more that we can get back there. And that's something I've seen within my own spiritual journey. And something it's one of the deep values I've gotten out of meditation. While my presence practice, I think, is the core of my practice nowadays. Meditation is a profound way to deepen the presence practice, and a profound way to learn and create roads back to those expanded states of awareness. until we eventually are always there, until that unity of soulless source occurs and stays. And that is the identity going forward, or the selfless state, the dissolution of self, of small s self to larger s self. So that was one experience that I had this week, and quite frankly, other than that, I haven't sat a ton this week, and I've just it's funny how, within the larger peaks and troughs that we've talked about, there's smaller peaks and troughs. And this week it was, I have this really deep experience, and then since then I haven't really sat all that much. And I've been more in the day-to-day physical reality of being Harry. Because I've been, starting tomorrow, I'm going into a week of silence and of meditation. And so I've just been spending a lot more time making sure, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted before I do that. So it's, I was kind of in a place of looking to the future. I displaced myself from the now a little bit in that, even though there's a practice of being present within planning for the future. And it's this week's kind of been a bit of both, and I'm sure that some people can relate to that of going into these deep states or feeling this beautiful connection, and then 20 minutes later you might spill coffee on your pants, and then it's, where did that go? And so, within that, something I wanted to talk about was even that hook I talked about last week. It was much more of just a be than like really staying hooked consciously. It was a recognizing there's nothing I can do that would take me away from being united with Source, take me away from that great perfection. So that meditation carried with me, just recognizing, wow, there's the essence of perfection all around me at all times. And just knowing that was kind of a large part of my sadhana this week, just being at peace with that and not, practicing not needing to be sitting more, or practicing not needing to have my anchor in, as I get ready to do that much more intensely. So it's, once again, it's being at peace with what is. And in the past, I would have resisted a week like this quite a bit, even though I had that great, deep, beautiful experience. I always judged not being consciously present, because I always saw that as the enemy in a sense. But as one of the monks in the ashram used to say, that's ego in, ego out. It might be this so eating the cake, you're sitting there like, I shouldn't eat the cakes. That's your ego that's kind of creating this resistance. And then you eat the cake, and then you're like, oh, you shouldn't have eaten that cake. I told you not to. Like, what are you doing? So it's ego in, ego out. And it just creates those blockages, those tensions that I was talking about, that creates identity, that keeps us tethered to the physical body, to this smaller self identity. And so I was able to be in a place of just allowing it to be what it was, and not to hold judgment, self-judgment, and to just be at peace with knowing that I'm already there. And also allow myself to just be excited about this next week. And I think it's going to be a profound experience of just being with what is. And for anyone who is interested, make sure to catch the next episode, because I am going to be taking you through what exactly it is that I do during this week of silence. It's essentially silence and a lot of presence in meditation and some writing. I'm going to allow myself some writing, because last time I did this, there was an immense amount of creativity that started to flow forward that I didn't allow myself to express, and wound up forgetting a ton of it. So when creativity and expression calls, I've learned to allow it to flow. But I'll be taking you through much more in depth next week. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's much more of we all have our peaks and our troughs within our peaks and our troughs, and great, amazing, beautiful experiences can be followed by, one might say very dry weeks or dry spells. But not judging that is a huge part of just continuing down the spiritual journey and not allowing ego in, ego out. But even if that happens, not judging that, it can become a self-judgment of a self-judgment for a lot of us, especially those of us who are deeply sincere about our awakening process. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you next week on A Spiritual Journey.